Hello, everyone. So, I am recording on my phone, and I do have a bit of a croaky voice from a bit of a cold going on. So, returned from Philippines, and I thought it might be an idea to relay some information to some people about as far as what it costs and how it all worked. So, yeah. So here we go. Been home back in Australia for about 4 or 5 days now. And so let's start this off. And like all my videos, it's very unedited and just raw. That's how it is here. So this is my house in here. And so what it costs. So direct flights from Australia, Brisbane, to Manila was $800 each way. So it's $1,600 return flight. And being from Australia, we get VOA, this is a visa on arrival, and that was pretty straightforward. I am unvaccinated, and so I did a COVID test at the Brisbane airport before I left, the day before I left. So I went to the airport, and they have testing clinics there to have that done, and then they send you an email message and confirmation letter in which you can present when you do the check-in. So going back to the main topic is the costs. So the cost was $1,600 for the flights for there and return. And I chose to do, and I did that through a Flight Centre booking agent, which ended up, from what I understand, with talking to some friends, was cheaper than trying to do it online. It was pretty good. And considering that I booked this flight about a month or 6 weeks prior to flying out, that was pretty good. I was pretty happy with that. And then they suggested some insurance and gave me the outlines with that, whether you want to do it or not. Me personally, I don't think I would do the insurance thing again. If you got a little bit of a financial backup, then you probably don't really need it. And so long as you're careful with your passports and things like that, I think you're pretty fine. But that's entirely up to you guys. But next time, I don't think I will do. And the reason why I say that is because this was my first time. I didn't know what to expect to go over there. The very first time traveling on my own, and certainly first time to Philippines. So I went there, $1,600 for the flights, and it was about $400 for the insurance, approximately. So let's talk about $2,000. 2,000 Australian dollars to get to Manila. Not including the train to get from where I live down to Brisbane, Australia, and 60 or 70 odd dollars for the COVID test. So yeah, it's all in part of the deal. So, and I had a 1 night accommodation stay in Brisbane to make it all happen. In the future, I probably would go down on the day, as long as my flight was a late flight, and have the COVID test done on the morning at the airport, and it's only an hour and a half or thereabouts to have the COVID tests completed and emailed to you. So that's pretty quick. It needs to be done within 24 hours, I believe. Things change all the time, but at that point, I think it was 24 hours, a negative COVID test, or PCR test, I think it is, to be done prior to boarding the plane. So not necessarily arriving, but prior to boarding the plane. So what did it all cost? So I did, which I don't think I'll do again, which is I went to the local post office and put down 1,000 Australian dollars to be delivered for some Filipino pesos. That ended up being 33,000 pesos. Not quite what I expected. I thought it'll be more like about 38,000 pesos, minus a bit of a commission and that sort of thing. However, it ended up being 33. So it's 5,000 pesos or approximately difference. And it's not a big lot, but it wasn't as good as what I thought it was. So what I would do next time in regards to that is I created a second account. So I got a second Swipey card, ATM card. So I've got a bank account, and then I just created a second account, and they sent me a card within a week or so. And I left my main card here and took my other card to Philippines and just did online traveling from this date to this date that I'm traveling to the destination of Philippines. And that worked really well. The funds, so my holiday pay and everything went into my main account. I'll just go online to transfer it over, and I'll explain a little bit more about that shortly. So that was that. So it was $1,000 cash in Filipino pesos and $2,000 in flights with insurance. Sorry if I'm looking down, but my camera is up here and I'm looking at the screen, so very amateur. Anyway, so what did I do? So I established this second bank account I was just talking about, and I transferred 1,000 Australian dollars over into it. Just sit there, and I did a test at an ATM local in Australia, just to make sure that the card worked with the password and so on, and it worked fine. So a total of, at this point, so $1,000 in cash, in pesos, then $1,000 transferred. Then over the period of time, there was 1,000, 500, 500, 2,400, 500, 250, 100, 150, all transferred into my, what I call, travel account over the 4-week period. That sounds like a lot. The total of that was approximately, if I've got this right, $4,450. Now, and that's not including the flights. So we're talking about $6,450 all up. There is some things that I spent money on that I won't do again, and most people probably don't need to do. So what it was, one thing that I would point out that I experienced when I was over there is that I was doing money transfer. So I just put a small amount in case the card got stolen or some kind of weird thing happened. So every now and again, I'll just transfer a little bit over, and then I'll withdraw it out of the ATMs. And it was a Visa card, so you just go and find an ATM that does Visa, and you can withdraw 10,000 pesos at a time per day. Actually, it's not per day, it's per withdrawal. So if you need 30,000 pesos, then you can do 3 withdrawals out of the same ATM, one after the other. Just do it again. And there are ATM charges, which is around about $10 Australian, maybe $11 Australian, all up per transaction. Now, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters too much if you take 4,000 pesos out or 10,000 pesos. The transaction cost is pretty much the same. There's not much of a conversion charge. It's just more of a usage charge. The usage charge, I think, is in twofold. One from the ATM in Philippines, and the other one is the conversion, not the conversion amount, but just converting from AUD into PHP. So it didn't matter whether didn't seem to matter, and I could be wrong about this, but it didn't seem to matter whether you took 2,000 2,000 pesos out of the ATM or 10,000 pesos at the ATM, the charge seemed to be the same, and you can see two transactions. One was from this and one was from that on your bank statements. So it ended up being 6,000. Yep, 6,450 in total. Now, within all of that, I did purchase a motorcycle that was approximately $2,000 Australian, and I did purchase an air conditioner, which is approximately $380 Australian. The air conditioner I purchased because I stayed at a family's house, Ira's family. So it was Ira, her mother, and her brother. And after staying in Philippines for went into Manila, stayed about 4 days in Manila, just to get used to the place, I suppose, because I was in Pasig, so on the eastern side or southeastern side of Manila, and it was a nice place, and they had I won't say security guards because that's not really a thing. They had people there to monitor traffic in and out. It was safe and it was no problem at all. And I got to know them quite well. And that was really just to acclimatize myself with the culture, what I'm looking at, and all that kind of thing. And all these sorts of things are in my very, very first lots of blogs within this 100 odd plus videos that I've put up. So, yeah. And then got a message from Ira and said, all right, let's go down to Butuan. So, Butuan, a flight from Manila to Butuan it didn't cost this, but let's just say it's $200. It was an hour and a half flight, and coming out of Terminal 3 at the International Airport area, and jumped on that and flew down. Arrived in Butuan at around about 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. Did a Airbnb place called Go Hotel. Go Hotel is connected directly to the Robinsons shopping centre, pretty much smack bang in the middle of Butuan. And it was nice. It was good. Air conditioner wasn't working so well. But anyway, the facilities, there's no cooking facilities or anything. It was just basically a bed, a bathroom area, and that sort of thing. And it was quite good. So I stayed there for a while. Then we decided that we'll go to, now I can't pronounce this correctly, Siargao Island. Siargao Island. It's a well-known island, particularly for people who are into surfing. There's apparently some foreign and Philippine celebrities that live on this island, and from what I understand, frequently visit the surfing spots. Cloud 9 is one of those places, and you might see some videos that I've posted about Cloud 9 area. So Cloud 9 is just a beach type area with a few hotels surrounding it. And then coming back, it was suggested to me by Ira, said, why don't you stay at my house? And I said, okay. Now, her house is in a, and upon her description, is a squatters area in Butuan, and it's in a location called Riverside. So they're very, very basic shacks or areas that have that had been built who knows how long ago. And being a squatters area, the financial accommodation status is quite low. However, there's a lot of people that do work there. So I guess it's kind of a thing like what we do is they work there, they work, and quite often good jobs, but the accommodation is extremely cheap. And again, there's some vlogs that I have of the area and what the streets are like, and they all come out at night time and do the thing. So upon that suggestion of living there, I went, okay. But her mother said, oh, we don't have air conditioning. Know that I'm European, well, Australian, and we're not quite accustomed to the hot weather there. It wasn't really, really hot, but just the humidity was through the roof. So you didn't have to do much to start raining sweat everywhere. So, yep, that's the suggestion there. And I went, now I did hear that the previous person who lived there, which is the daughter of the owner of that particular property, which is 3 dwellings side by side, had an air conditioner. So I said to them, well, where was this air conditioner? So they peeled back some paper off the wall, and the air conditioner was, the hole where the air conditioner was right there. So I went, that's cool. So a tape measure, which is just the old seamstress tape measure. So I measured the length and the width and looked for the power. So the power was actually still there. It was just a wire hanging down with a plug on the end of it. And so jumped on a trike, the Philippine trike, and went into town and visited 3 or 4 stores to find an air conditioner. So in my mind, I was going, well, I've got to pay for accommodation somewhere, and looked at these air conditioners and found the best one to suit the opening in the wall, as well as the best horsepower, or in my terms, it'll be BTU strength, to make sure that it's going to be not struggling, but working efficiently as best it can. It's not an inverter style, it's the old window type air conditioner. And so, yeah, we found one that was good, and the salesman was struggling with English, but I made him work for it, and it was all good. Gave him a pat on the back, and he did well. And we got that air conditioner and put that in. So that was $350 or $380 Australian dollars approximately, which was equivalent to 2, maybe 3 weeks worth of hotel accommodation. So I thought, this is okay, because it's the same money for me to spend. But when I left, the money's not lost. They've got an air conditioner. And some people might think, okay, well, what about the running costs? Well, in this particular place, the rent for the property that they were living at included water and electricity. They did speak to the owner, and it bumped the rent up a little bit because of the extra power consumption of running the air conditioner, but it wasn't exorbitant. It was acceptable to them, and they were ecstatically happy that they now have an air conditioner that they can run for a little bit each night, just to not so much cool the room down, but just to remove the humidity out of the room while they're sleeping at night. Then also, so that was let's say $380, rounded up to $400 even. And then the other part was on return from Siargao Island. We tried to rehire. We hired a motorcycle prior to that, and I found out that the rent for that motorcycle was a bit higher than what other places can be. So did a search for another motorcycle, and we couldn't find one. Butuan is not a high tourist area. There are foreigners that live there, but of American and Australian that I've come across. Probably other nationalities as well, but it only came across Australian and American. Only 1 or 2 of each. And then they, what was I going to say? Couldn't find a motorcycle that was, reasonable to rent for the next week to 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So I went, all right, well, let's go into a dealership. So I walked into a dealership and we visited. We found out what type of little scooter motorcycle that we're after because of power and especially the space underneath the seat to store some things. Like if you go to the shops, instead of carrying them on a backpack or carrying them in a bag, there was enough room in the seat. So we found Honda, I think it's a Honda Click, 125cc, and it was 81,000 pesos. So I did my little sums on the phone to work out that was just below $2,000 Australian. So I went, all right, and talked to the salespeople, say, is this available and ready to be purchased virtually immediately? It actually took 2 or 3 shops to find a good price versus availability, because not all motorcycles there are available to ride out of the shop within that day. Some of them, by the sound of it, because I don't think they have too many people with cash to do that. So they rely, I guess, on people putting in a contract and doing finance, which all takes days, weeks. And most of the time, these motorcycles are not available to ride out. And I believe what it is the chassis number and engine number and all that sort of thing to be submitted to the government to release the vehicle to be suitable to be used on their roads. Not entirely sure how all that works. However, we did purchase a motorcycle, but with no number plate. Number plate does take 6 weeks or thereabouts to turn up. So drive out with nothing written on the back of the bike as far as a license plate or a number plate to go. So $2,000. So we'll come back to what I was talking about. It was, what was it? $6,450 plus a little bit of other things, which was Airbnb, Siaga Island and that sort of stuff. So let's go, I think might be a bit high, but let's go 6,986. So let's go 7,000. 7,000 minus 2, 7, 6, 5,000. $5,000 includes accommodation, food, all the spending. Go to Siaga Island with boat ferries there and back, which was first class, so air-conditioned boat on the way there and back with 4 people, and purchase of a motorcycle and purchase of the air conditioner. So you can whittle that down if you're in the position of living with another family and you just give them a little bit of rent or a bit of food and that sort of thing. You can very quickly whittle that down to 7, so it's $5,000 without the purchase of the motorcycle. You probably, and this includes flights, and probably maybe another 1,500. So it's 5, 4.5, no, 3.5. So potentially you can do it for about, including flights, take out insurance, $3,000. So that's, and this is for a month. So $2,000, well, actually, $1,600 for flights, and without going exorbitant as far as spending goes, but just a few hundred pesos per day type thing. 100 pesos is equivalent to, I rounded up to $3, was actually $2.75 Australian at the time. So rounded up to 100 pesos being equivalent to $3 Australian. And to give that into kind of focus or perspective, a 1 litre bottle of local beer, would be Red Horse or San Miguel, is 120 a peso, so $3.20 or thereabouts. Food is quite cheap, and if you're with the family thing, then some rice, a few pieces of chicken each night, and a couple of veggies at the Sorry stores, usually just out the front door, and walk down the street. Again, in one of my videos. So that might be a bit tight for a lot of people, and the accommodation was just on a mattress on the floor. Did have the air conditioner, which was really, really cool. And, bathroom facilities, no toilet paper. Can do, but no, it's not there. And then the flushing of the toilet is just a bucket of water underneath a tap and a scooper, and you just scoop it out and pour it into the toilet. And the cleaning up afterwards, if you like, is up to your imagination and a scooper. That's how it works. And that's how we'll do it. And obviously, wash your hands with soap and everything afterwards. But, so, how can we do this cheaper? Well, next time I go back, it's going to be, let's say, $1,600 for flights, $200 to get from Manila to Butuan, so that's $1,800. A little bit of COVID tests, and maybe and train from here down to Brisbane, to maybe 2.5. Well, the train is about $100. So let's start that again. $1,600 for flights, $200 from flight from Manila to Butuan, $100, 16, so that's 16, $1,800, $1,900 for the train from here. If I need to do accommodation, then it's another 100, just 2,000. Do the COVID test, which is about 80, so that's 2,100, if my maths is right. I don't know. I'm just adding this up very quickly. Then I've already got a motorcycle. Air conditioner's already there. So it's food per day. And then anything else you want to do. Food, maybe fuel on the bike and that sort of thing. Fuel is the same price as here. So, but it only holds 4 litres, and that gives you a week, maybe even 2 weeks of riding around. So it's very, very cheap. So let's just round it up a little bit. So for a month, you probably go 3.5, maybe $4,000, with a few overnight stays somewhere. If you go, there's like Enchanted River we went to, which is a 3-hour motorcycle ride. You can do it in one day if you leave really early and go and check it out and come back. That's a big day. But $100 for a night stay at the nearest town, which is very, very small little towns and not very many people there. So as a foreigner, as a white guy, you stand out. Or not a Filipino, not so much a white guy, but just non-Philippine. You stand out, and everybody's kind of looking at you like this as you walk past. Sometimes they even nearly fall out of the trikes as they drive past and spot you. They'll lean outside the bike to the point of nearly falling out. Quite interesting to see that. So yeah, we can do it. You can do it if you have some contacts. If you don't have contacts, it'll cost you a little bit. But once you've made a contact, even just a family to stay with or that sort of thing. But my particular part of it is immersing into the family. You immerse into the culture. And the good things and the bad things, the drama, the chismis, which is gossip, of this guy or this girl, this person, this thing, or what might happen. It's just interesting to hear it. Obviously, you're not involved in it, so there's no sort of personal conflict there. But it gives you an idea of really how life works and happens in the Philippines. So yeah, you can for the sake of $3,000 and or maybe $4,000 all up, Australian dollars, you can spend a month in Philippines, which I'm going to experiment again as soon as I possibly can. Now that the air conditioner is there and the motorcycle is there, motorcycle is actually in storage. Took the mirrors off, put a cover over it, disconnected the battery, put it in a place on top of a stack of pallets, so it's off the ground and on its center stand, so the weight is off the suspension, and it's just sitting there ready to go. There's only 400 kilometers on it. The very first service is 500. So once I get back, then unbox it again and connect the battery. Hopefully it should start. I don't really know how well the battery will hold, even as disconnected. So, and then ride around for a day or two to warm it all back up and lubricate, and then take it in for a service for a oil change for its first service. But yeah, let's say 2,500, 3,000. And you won't, you're not going to visit the pubs every night. You're not going to visit any kind of fantastic islands many places away and do lots of airplane trips and that sort of thing. But it certainly is possible. And you'll have days of just tripping around. If you don't have a motorcycle, then there's always the jeepneys. I never actually traveled in a single jeepney. I did what they call multi-cabs, which is your small Suzuki little vans that can hold 15 people or so, or your little trikes, which are everywhere, and they're cheap. Trike is 12 pesos. No, I actually can't remember. No, yeah, 12 pesos for the multicab, and I think it's 10 pesos for the little trikes to nearly take you all the way across town. So it's significantly cheap. The reason why I chose a bike is because I had Era with me, and we had the freedom to travel anywhere, and that's the reason why I hired a motorcycle at the beginning, is to be able to get around any time of the day or night. So yeah, there are times where it's difficult to find one, particularly at night, late at night, and that sort of thing. So yeah, that is a vlog there. A very short thing of simple finances. So once again, I'll cap it off. You can do Philippines for about $3,500, say $4,000, if you've got some contacts. If you haven't got contacts, probably heading towards the $5,000 mark. And it's simple and easy. To put it into another perspective, if I decided to leave tomorrow and for $3,500, I can get out of this house with just a backpack, no check-in luggage. I just had a backpack and a pillow slip with some towels and my tablet in it that I carried, which they never weighed. They only weighed the backpack, and a bum bag, or fanny pack, some people call it, just with the essentials in it, was a bit of cash and passport and tickets and that sort of thing. So if you're wearing it, it's not included in the weight. They just want to know the backpack weight. 7 kilos is pretty much a standard thing. So below 7, they're happy. Doesn't matter what bum bag you got in it. If you've got excess clothing, then you just wear it all. They won't weigh you. And if you get on the plane and it's too much, then you just take it off and stick it in the pillow slip to carry around. Or back into the backpack and you slip it in the overhead lockers while your flights. And the same for domestic. Domestic flights is the same. It's 7 kilos. So it's Philippine Airlines to go from, what I flew was Philippine Airlines from Brisbane to Manila, and then it was Cebu Pacific to do domestic flight. There are Philippine Airlines do domestic. I didn't try those, but I was very happy with Philippine Airlines for an international flight, and very happy with Cebu Pacific for domestic flights. Quick and very professional. Yeah, 3.5 grand. So I'm going to try it again very soon to do another month. 30 days is the maximum for a visa on arrival for an Australian passport holder. And now, like I said, don't have a motorcycle to purchase or an air conditioner. I've got an accommodation to stay with an awesome family. And let's see what that will end up being. So I think, yeah, somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 Australian can spend a month in the Philippines. All right, bye for now. And I don't know what I'm going to do as far as more vlogs, but looking to increase this channel. So I never said it before, so like and subscribe. So tick the box, press the button, all that kind of thing. Because the main goal for this particular, for myself and for Ira and the family, is I'd go over there and continue with YouTube and do some traveling. And particularly if I'm with a local person, then we'll see some sites that a tourist, inverted commas, probably may not be exposed to. So a bit more of the raw culture and how the life really is at the normal level. Not an exuberant level, but at the normal level of the Philippines. Bye for now. Cheers.